Cairo has denied having a military presence in Syria. The Egyptian Foreign Ministry issued a statement on Sunday refuting claims from a report by a Lebanese newspaper, As-Safir. Now, As-Safir reported on Thursday that 18 Egyptian Air Force pilots had been deployed on a military base in the Syrian central province of Hama. Several days ago, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi had expressed his support for the Syrian army. The former army chief said the priority now is to support national armies and assert control over territories and deal with extremist elements in Syria, Libya and Iraq. Well, let's get you an update on that story. I'm now joined live from Cairo by CCTV's Yasser Hakim. Yasser, first off, just some clarity on what is really going on here. Why would a newspaper in Lebanon accuse Egypt of deploying fighters into Syria?
Well, Lebanon, first of all, is very divided over Syria. There is a strong sect in Libya and a strong position in Libya, in Lebanon. Sorry, that is against Bashar al-Assad, and they do not want Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president, to stay in power, and they want a change in rule there. And when Egypt, a few months ago, first of all, voted for a Russian resolution at the UN Security Council that is sort of calls for a stop in fighting in Syria and stop the attacks on the Syrian army, that has angered many, whether in Saudi Arabia or in Lebanon as well. Also, the Egyptian president a few days ago in a meeting in Portugal, he told the media there that he supports the Syrian army, and also, as we know, he wants to fight the Islamist groups in several countries. And I think this is what, and also the foreign minister of Syria, Walid al-Muallim, of the Syrian president Bashar al-Assad, Walid al-Muallim, has said that there is a slight improvement in the Egyptian in relations with Egypt. I think all this together has prompted the paper to speculate that Egypt is supporting the Syrian army, like it has done in Libya. Egypt has been supporting the Libyan army against ISIL and other elements there. And I think they're just speculation that Egypt is doing the same with Syria.
Well, on that note, of course, that we know that Egypt is supporting or is in support of the Syrian army. Has that translated into any practical support? I mean, what support has Cairo been giving to its allies when it comes to the situation in Syria?
What we know of and what the government has been clear about is that there's no support. It's only diplomatic and political support, but not any military support or training like it has done in Libya. Egypt is more involved in the Libyan crisis, and you cannot compare that to Syria. Syria is a different situation. Syria is even far away than Egypt. And I don't think the government, as it says, it does not want to interfere in the Libyan crisis, in the Syrian crisis. Very complicated there. There are a lot at stake there, and what is Egypt calling for is a cessation of violence, a cessation of attacks, and that the only way out of the Syrian crisis is through dialogue, is through a comprehensive peace agreement, and that the Syrian people will decide who they want to rule the country, whether it be Bashar al-Assad, whether it be the opposition, or a coalition of both. But the fighting, as Egypt has been saying, will not solve the problem. And actually the fighting will give more room for Islamist and terrorist groups to gain more ground in Syria and to have more power, making use of the chaos there, the fighting between the opposition and Bashar al-Assad. So if the opposition and Bashar al-Assad would sit down and reach a solution, then all efforts will be taken against the elements and the military groups, the militants and the terrorist groups that are making use of the situation there, such as ISIL, and making use and taking ground in Syria. And this is Egypt's stance.
And of course, it remains a rather delicate diplomatic issue. Thanks very much, Yasser Hakim, live for us there in Cairo.